Hi biologists, let's start by looking at the learning objectives for this lesson. At the end of this section and following the biology syllabus, you should be able to describe the cell's activities in the state of non-division or interphase, give a detailed account with the aided diagrams of the stages of mitosis. What does this actually mean? What are we trying to understand? Well, it's straightforward enough. You have to be able to describe what happens in a cell during the process of interphase, leading to being able to give a detailed account with the help of diagrams of the stages of mitosis. Let's look at a detailed study of mitosis. You might remember the cell cycle from a previous video. The cell cycle, or the life cycle of a cell, can be divided into stages. Interphase is the stage in the cell cycle during which cells are not dividing. Mitosis is the division of the nucleus to produce two genetically identical daughter cells. Because this is a detailed study, you must also understand that mitosis is usually followed by cytokinesis or cell division. This is where the cell or the cytoplasm divides to form new cells. Now, strictly speaking, the objective of this video is to have a detailed understanding of the process of mitosis or the process of nuclear division. An understanding of the cell cycle stages helps the understanding of mitosis. So, a detailed study of mitosis involves watching the following videos in the sequential order given. Mitosis number 1, which describes the process of interphase. Mitosis number 2, which involves a detailed study of mitosis, and mitosis number 3, which describes the process of cytokinesis. Following that, let's look at interphase. This is the stage where the cell is gearing up or preparing to carry out mitosis. Interphase is the phase in the cell cycle when the cell is not dividing. It is the longest phase in the cell cycle. Cells spend most of their life in this stage. Remember, we could see this clearly in our cell cycle graphic from before. Interphase often accounts for over 90% of the cell cycle. Now, don't forget, the cell is not dividing. It is actively growing and carrying out everyday activities. For example, making protein. If it is a muscle cell, it will be contracting and relaxing. If it is a nerve cell, it will be involved in carrying nerve impulses. Let's have a closer look at interphase or the non-division stage. The first thing to understand is that these changes cannot be seen. They are invisible. This helps us to learn the stages of interphase because you have IN in invisible and IN in interphase. So the first point to be made is that the changes that take place during interphase cannot be seen. Now, even though these changes are invisible, the cell is still very active. A store of energy is built up. This energy is usually in the form of a chemical called ATP. Enzymes and proteins are also made, so protein synthesis is taking place. Cell organelles like mitochondria and chloroplasts are duplicated. Chromosomes are also replicated. This means that the chromosomes make exact copies of themselves. This is why we use the word replicate. Let's have a closer look at this in the diagram. At the moment, this cell is a diploid cell. The chromosomes are in pairs, one long one here and another long one, and then two short ones here. The diploid number of this cell is 4 because you have a total of 4 chromosomes and the chromosomes exist in pairs. Now these changes, as we've already said, are invisible, but the chromosomes replicate. In other words, DNA replication takes place. This process is invisible, but the chromosomes make an exact copy of themselves during interphase. The sister chromosomes, or sister chromatids technically speaking, are attached to one another by the centromere. Now, these chromosomes are in the form of chromatin. In other words, they are invisible and cannot be seen. Again, IN in chromatin, IN in invisible, and IN in interphase. So don't forget, during interphase, the chromosomes are in the form of chromatin, which is invisible. Now, if we are learning this for the exam, we need to learn these 5 steps, and we should also include the diagram. I would suggest that you would include extra labels. The label chromatin on its own would not be sufficient. We can include a label here for the centriole, which is an important cell organelle, which will feature in the next stage of mitosis. I would include a label for the cell membrane, and I would include a label for the cytoplasm of the cell and the nuclear membrane. So we have our cell membrane, we have our cytoplasm, and we have our nuclear membrane as well. Practice this in a jotter. We need to appreciate that interphase is an active phase. It's an active phase because new cell organelles are being formed, protein synthesis is being carried out, and the single-stranded chromosomes form double-stranded copies of themselves. Now, the most important understanding to have, and a question they're fond of asking in exams, is that you must understand that DNA replication occurs in interphase of the cell cycle. The DNA will make copies of itself. We'll go through DNA replication in another video. And there you have it. Practice in a jotter. Get active. Now that we have reached the end of our lesson, have we achieved our objective? Can you describe the cell's activities in the state of non-division or interphase? Using this to being able to give a detailed account with the aided diagrams of the stages of mitosis.